Mm. This is quite surprising. When I sit here and look at it, thinking of Jemele Hill and what she's represented in the black community, she was supposed to be one of the best of us. Now I feel sorry. I even want to smash this chick. She's so agenda based now. Doesn't even make sense. I guess since she's been punished for having original thought, she's just going to follow an agenda, collect the money, and ride a wave. And boy, has she been on that road. Now, she signed a deal to launch an exclusive podcast network with Spotify, what she called in order to amplify the voices of black women. Her exact words: I am so excited to announce I'm partnering with Spotify to launch a podcast network that provides content for black women, feature black women content creators, and is run by black women. The hard work has already begun, but this is a dream fulfilled. F getting a foot in the door. The next level for me was to take complete ownership of the room. Let's get it. So right away, this show is dedicated only for black women. She had Mary J. Blige on her very first show to talk about self-esteem issues. Okay? And all of this stuff is dedicated only to black women. And she's unbothered. Now, I read you her statement for a reason. Because that woman said she was unbothered. She said this is a show for black women, owned by black women, and Spotify gave her an entire network to be the boss. Then, with the Joe Rogan situation, right? A white man that they're targeting only because he does not agree with what is the status quo for vaccinations. All of a sudden, we are taking things out of context, taking old clips from prior years and telling ourselves, you know what? These things don't matter. but they back then, but they matter today. What Joe Rogan says hurt me today. Oh, really? What's even more interesting is that Jemele Hill decided to get involved and does an interview with the New York Times over a situation with Joe Rogan, who is a white man, talking about these issues that basically did not affect her. So she comes out to Spotify, the people that gave her an exclusive network to make her show only for black women, by black women. Gave her an entire network to do this. She comes out and says, I would love for Spotify one day to give $100 million to a black creator. Like, what does that even mean? Okay, so what you're saying that you want Spotify to hand you $100 million? Who you want somebody to get $100 million from them who is black? That just shows you the level of thinking that we have when someone else is putting the words in your mouth. When someone else puts the words in your mouth and you tell them to say your message, they might not say it the right way. I'm quite sure that's not how your left people would want you to speak, Jemele Hill. Because it sounds ignorant. You act like Spotify just walks around and give people money. And your response to the Joe Rogan situation, who has a $200 million deal over 3.5 years. And people are like, wow, do you know why he has that? Because he's the top rated podcast in the world. They didn't say we gonna pay you this money. They're paying him not to leave. He was #1 before he went to Spotify. Spotify didn't make him #1. So they're paying him to stay right where he is. Because they're earning with him. Spotify ain't making a charity donation for $100 million. Sorry, they're not paying Jemele Hill Unbothered Podcast $100 million. Your network's not getting $100 million. That'd be burning the money. Mainly because you said it yourself. This is a show created by black women for black women. Well, there's a lot more people in the world. But since this is what you dedicated your podcast to be, in your entire network, good luck to you and the black women who are doing this podcast. Because, see, what you forgot, sister, is that there is no black woman without the black man. A black man created you. But everybody seems to forget that. Now, now that we're past that ignorance, why is Jemele Hill doing this? Well, beforehand, Jemele Hill has built up a voice working alongside everyone at ESPN. She built a voice with the LeBron James and all of the Obamas, Michelle Obama, and all of these different people. Who, by the way, they still haven't figured out how to get her podcast off the ground as well. But nobody talks about that. My thing is, you guys, the left, has made Joe Rogan's situation and brought it out, made you guys look more ridiculous. Because you made it more agenda-based than actual concern. Because in reality, Joe Rogan doesn't care if someone views something a different way. Is Joe Rogan a racist person? No, he's just been a prick. Every time I've seen him, he has been a prick. I have not liked Joe Rogan, or what they call the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. I don't really listen to his podcast at all. I don't see the use of me listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, but other people are in the world. So the way I feel about Joe Rogan as a person, someone else might see differently and might want to watch his show. Fine by me. And a lot of people seem to watch Joe Rogan's podcast or the Joe Rogan Experience or whatever. And it's the number one number one show on Spotify. As you can see, no matter what everybody has said and done, Spotify has not welted or say, well, we're going to let the show go, because they know this show is doing very well for us. And we're not going to let you guys pressure us into letting him go. Spotify is like, sorry, we're not stupid. And because they're not stupid, they're not going to continuously go along with the status quo. Well, Daniel Ek is not going to let public opinion turn his platform into something that people don't want to listen to. They want to be the podcast supreme choice. Because by having Joe Rogan as the number one podcast show on your network, that makes other shows want to go to Spotify because they have the number one podcast show. So if he's sticking around there, Spotify must be the place to be. If Joe Rogan is leaving Spotify to go somewhere, it's showing that Spotify is going to be leaving and go elsewhere. Well, in order to look at these numbers, and you can see if they could pay Joe Rogan $200 million in 3 years, that means he's actually worth more. That's how business works. You don't pay someone more than what they're worth. You pay them less. If you're paying them $200 million, they're probably worth $5. And you're like, man, Spotify, man, that's a lot of money to pay out to one podcast show. That's because you don't know anything about podcasting. You don't know anything about business. And the very quick way to look at that is let's go to Spotify's annual revenue. Okay? In 2016, Spotify annual revenue was $3.3 billion. In 2017, it went to 4.6. Then it went up another billion in 2018, 5.9. Then from 2018 to 2019 was a huge jump. It went to 7.6 billion. In 2020, it made a slight jump to 8.9 billion. Then last year had a huge jump to 10.9 billion. That is what the annual revenue is for Spotify. Okay? 10.9 billion. Why? Because there's more people working from home. In 2020 and 2021 was a huge year for podcasting. Podcasters were making a ton of money. It was new revenue, and as you can see, everybody and their mama now has a podcast. Shopping for a podcast deal, trying to run a network, and all of these different things. Right? But as you can see, they can afford to pay Joe Rogan. So even though he's the number one podcast in the world, they're not just handing him millions and millions of dollars for nothing. Okay? And Jemele Hill, I don't know what you was thinking, babe. But maybe someday a black creator earns that kind of money because they're all inclusive. Their show is dedicated to not just black folks, not just white folks, but Asian Americans, Indian Americans, anybody who loves the content. That's what I would love to see. I don't want to see Spotify pay them $100 million. I want to see them get the max. I want to see them get the most that they can get out of a company. And I would love to see them be able to pay themselves and be the boss all the way around. That's what I would love to see. But not just pay a black creator just for the fact that he's black. Because there is, the problem that you're against, you just did it in reverse. I'm quite sure the left felt that comment was pretty stupid. You should have had your team review that and proofread it or whatever before they printed it or whatever. But what's done is done. Anyway, don't forget to support the page if you're new here. Hopefully you all hit the like button. My Cash App is Carcito. The Super Chat's working. And it's a beautiful day. DJ Academics took a shot at me. Did it subtly without mentioning my name. It was really stupid, by the way. It was completely goofy. But, I don't know, man. That's y'all guy. Not smart people. I'm talking about the dumb ones. That's their guy. So, anyway, I'm out. Talk to you later.